Hey guys, by Austin Ramos, and this Sunday night, the Miami Dolphins suffered their second loss of the season to the Philadelphia Eagles. Final score was 31-17 in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles, and it wasn't the best outing by the Miami Dolphins. It was very tough to watch at some points, especially when it comes down to the penalties, which we will get into. Trust me, we will get into that topic. But aside from that, Eagles are a really good team, and they did pretty much what I expected them to do, except not pound the ball, which we'll see now in the highlights. Dallas Goedert got going pretty early. You'll see more of him later, but that one set up a field goal later for the Eagles. Hassan Reddick was shutting down the Dolphins' rushing attack. Big strip sack here by Bradley Chubb, recovered by Christian Wilkins. Hurts, not happy about it. Bradley Chubb and Christian Wilkins, on the other hand, are. And then we got Tua with a big deep ball to Waddle, and I believe that would set up a touchdown following it. No, my apologies. First, a big run stop by Hassan Reddick. Main dude was dominant. I think that put them out of field goal range. I forgot what happened there. But yeah, Dallas Goedert getting an easy touchdown there. Dolphins got caught in the blitz. It was not a good look. Jalen Hurts scrambling, and guess who he finds downfield? None other than A.J. Brown. Saw a little bit more of that later on in the game. Brown a little bit short of the goal line, and here comes the brotherly shove. Dolphins saw a lot of that brotherly shove today. This one ended up in 6 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Cedric Wilson, big third down catch to extend the drive after following a bad play call that had him lateral to be emergency QB type of situation. Beautiful ball to Tyreek Hill for 6 right before the half. Big sack by Jalen Phillips here, being held by two Eagles offensive linemen. And yeah, he's flapping his wings. He's having a good time. Dolphins and Eagles, both D-lines were getting after it. Dolphins were struggling to stop the running game. But here goes. Tip pass by Kader Kohou leads to a Jerome Baker pick 6, which is awesome to see. Hurts scrambles, finds Smith for a medium gain. And how about this move by Swift, huh? Shaking Jerome Baker out of his boots. I mean, not the best look for Baker, but it is what it is. A.J. Brown finally gets his touchdown of the night. Tyreek Hill targeting Raheem Mostert, and it's picked off by big play Darius Slay. The whole crowd was making that stadium shake after that one. Hurts pump fake, uncorks one to A.J. Brown, and that would set up the final nail in the coffin, which is this Kenneth Gainwell rushing touchdown. And yeah, I mean, lots of action. Dolphins struggled to get into the end zone a lot in this game. The good offensive drives were few far in between. Big interception really put things in a bad spot for the Miami Dolphins. Eagles turned over the ball a couple times. We'll get into that in a sec. But all in all, I liked what I saw from the Dolphins. Aside from what the final score was, it was a one-possession game heading into the fourth quarter. That interception was costly because actually the Dolphins were able to because they called timeout, then ended up doing that brotherly shove and then kept on going down the field. My apologies. Ended up being points off of that turnover. And on top of that, they kept the ball away from the Dolphins in the fourth quarter for 6 minutes straight with that ground and pound attack that they had. But it was also explosive. It wasn't just 3-yard gain here, 2-yard gain here, 4 or 5-yard gain here. No, they were moving around the ball. Like it wasn't just, pounding it down the Dolphins' throat. Anyways, offense wasn't that great, but given the circumstances, when they did play, they played well. 12 first downs for the Miami Dolphins to the Philadelphia Eagles 26. A lot of that ground and pound attack by the Philadelphia Eagles was in effect. Let's see really quick. We had penalties. The Eagles had 3 first downs from penalties. Third down efficiency. Dolphins were 4 of 11. Eagles were 4 of 12. Fourth down efficiency. Dolphins 0 for 2. Philadelphia Eagles nonetheless 4 for 4. Eagles had 68 total plays. Dolphins had 48. Here we go. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about penalties. Dolphins made it to the red zone once and did not convert. The Eagles made it to the red zone 6 times, converted 4 times. Dolphins had 10 penalties for a total of 70 yards. Eagles had 0. Don't know what to tell you guys about that. That is profound. I mean, I get it. There are some games that a team can go without having penalties, but there were a few that should have been called. Circa the face mask on Cedric Wilson, to be certain. That cost the Dolphins, but in terms of ball doesn't lie, that was the following defensive drive by the Dolphins was that pick six by Jerome Baker. So it does even out to a degree, but it just doesn't make up the fact that Eagles weren't penalized at all. There were a few plays that you can look back on, and if they were calling as strict as they were calling it on the Dolphins, they should have been able to call some things on the Eagles. Not blaming the refs. Dolphins, you're on the road. You always have to kind of overcome the referees in these type of games. Turnovers, Eagles had 2, Dolphins had 1. Eagles lost a fumble and interception thrown for the Dolphins. Dolphins had a defensive touchdown. Time of possession, 23 minutes and 17 seconds for the Miami Dolphins. 36 minutes, 43 seconds for the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, it was a roller coaster of emotions. Really hoped the Dolphins would come out and perform a bit better, but given the circumstances, I know the Dolphins lost by 2 possessions. Technically a 1-possession loss. Whatever. They went for it. Short field. Whatever. Very upset here. Anyways, let's get into some player stats. But before we do that, actually, these were the keys to victory for me. It was Dolphins having a well-established offense, like a balanced offense, running and passing. Running game was non-existent for most part of the game. It got a little bit going later on in the game, but it was a little bit too late. They got into a pass-happy mode. And then for the defensive side of the ball, it was to limit the run, which they did to a degree, but they would limit, and then boom, allow like a big chunky yardage rush that would net in a lot of yardage for the Eagles, equivalent to first downs, continuing drives, etc. Tick-tock on the clock. That was happening a lot. All right, and then forgot what the third one was off the top of my head. Anyways, Dolphins didn't execute in those things. The running game was getting blown up, as you saw in the highlight, by Hassan Reddick early and often, to the point that the Dolphins pretty much nearly abandoned it. So what can you do? It was a close game all throughout, so tough one to lose. All right, let's get into some player stats. We got Tua going 23 of 32, 216 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 3 times for a loss of 10 yards. Cedric Wilson had a technical snap as a quarterback. He got sacked for a loss of 7 yards on a lateral play. And then for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 23 of 31, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 3 times for a loss of 23 yards. Rushing, Raheem Mostert for the Miami Dolphins, 9 carries, 45 yards. Average of 5 yards at the end of the day, which wasn't horrible, but that was helped out by a few long gains, one of them being 21 total yards. Ahmed and Tua both ran the ball. Ahmed had 2 rushes for 3 yards. Tua had 1 for -3 yards. It was a broken play. And then for the Philadelphia Eagles, you got DeAndre Swift, 15 total carries, 62 yards, longest of 22. Jalen Hurts, 11 carries, 21 yards, 1 touchdown, longest of 12. Kenneth Gainwell, 8 total carries, 16 total yards, and a touchdown. Right, let's get into some receiving stats. Tyreek Hill, 11 receptions, 88 yards, 1 touchdown, longest of 27. Waddle was dealing with some injuries. He had some back pain. Unfortunately, he was in and out of the game, but 6 receptions, 63 total yards, 16 was his longest yardage. Waddle hasn't had the best start to the season, and it's a little bit unfortunate, and I think it's good and bad to a degree of how the Dolphins season has started, with having one of the most balanced offenses in all the NFL. But Waddle hasn't really been a part of that because he's been in and out of the lineup with a few injuries here and there. And it's something that's really starting to become a concern for the Miami Dolphins. Cedric Wilson made 2 big catches for 48 total yards, longest of 29, which was that 3rd down conversion. Aside from that, everyone else had either 1 reception, but all under 10 total yards. A.J. Brown, 10 receptions, 137 yards, 1 touchdown. Could have had 2, almost probably 3, honestly. And longest of 42 off of 15 total targets. Dallas Goedert wasn't pretty bad either. 5 total receptions, 79 yards. Devontae Smith, 4 receptions, 49 yards. DeAndre Swift, 3 receptions, 13 yards. Julio Jones got his first catch as a Philadelphia Eagle for 3 yards. And then let's talk about fumbles. Liam Eichenberg had a botched snap, which Tua recovered. And then Jalen Hurts fumbled the ball, which Christian Watkins recovered. Defensively, Jerome Baker had a pretty good game. If it wasn't him, it was going to be David Long Jr., who unfortunately left the game with concussion-like symptoms after colliding with Javon Holland. Hope everything is okay for him. Holland was able to get back into the game. But yeah, Jerome Baker, 11 total tackles, 6 solo, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection, and a pick 6 of 22 total yards. Bradley Chubb, 7 total, 5 solo, 2 sacks, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 QB hit. Jalen Phillips, 7 total, 5 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 2 QB hits. Then some key stats: Kader Kohou, a pass deflection, and got into A.J. Brown's head enough to make him make a beast mode catch. So tough day for the corners. We'll talk about what happened with the corner group all in a due time after the stats here. Andrew Van Ginkel with a tackle for a loss and 1 QB hit. Let's see, Christian Wilkins, 1 QB hit. Eli Apple, 2 pass deflections. David Long Jr., pass deflection. And that's about it for key stats for the Miami Dolphins. For the Philadelphia Eagles, Terrell Edmonds was the leading tackler, 9 total, 8 solo. Darius Slay, 4 total, 4 solo, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 interception. Hassan Reddick, same here, 4 total, 4 solo, 2 tackles for a loss. And then other key stats like Josh Sweat, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 QB hits. Nolan Smith, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 sack, 1 QB hit. Fletcher Cox had half a sack and a QB hit. Nicholas Morrow, 1 tackle for a loss. Jordan Davis, half a sack with Fletcher Cox with a QB hit. Jalen Carter with a tackle for a loss. And last but not least, Eli Ricks with a pass deflection. So I mentioned those interceptions. Both Jerome Baker, pick 6 from 22 total yards. Darius Slay had 16 total yards on his return for his interception. Kick returns, Braxton Berrios had 4 returns for 105 total yards, the longest of 33. Boston Scott had 1 return for 38 total yards, and I'm not going to say his name, I'm going to mess it up completely, but some other guy from the Eagles had 1 return for 7 yards. I'm sorry I cannot say your name, I will butcher it so bad. Punt returns, Braxton Berrios had a punt return of 16 total yards, and then kicking, Jason Sanders went 1 for 1 on field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points. Jake Elliott went 1 for 1 on field goals, 4 for 4 on extra points. Then punting, Jake Bailey, 3 punts, 135 total yards, 1 touchback, 1 in the 20, longest of 59. Then Brandon Mann, 1 total punt, 57 total yards. Whew! All right, guys. Really quick, a sip of water. Just quick little sip of water. All right, let's get into it. The defense played very well. I was really happy with what the defense was doing. Few plays here and there, broken tackles, not being able to stop the brotherly shove, which almost no other team in the NFL can do either. So, not really too upset with them about that. Just more upset of letting the Eagles get in that position to allow them to get that stuff done. But what can you do? Team's really good at it. So much that other executives around the league are trying to get it banned, which I don't agree with. I mean, they do it so well, and other teams try to do it, whether they can or cannot do it. They do it well, and there's other teams that can't do it at all. So, to each his own. If they can do it well, what can you do? Dolphins have the most motion and then have 2 of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. You think they're going to ban speed? Like, it's whatever. Defensively, they played pretty well. They were getting after the quarterback. I really liked that a lot. But just those close plays that could be difference makers. Elephant in the room. Lots of penalties. It's really upsetting when your team is getting penalized a lot and you see the other team not getting penalized a single time the entire game. They got penalized once, but it was offsetting because Dolphins also got penalized on that play. Not blaming the refs at all, but there are certain things that kind of draw a line in the sand. As it's like, man, what is this? That can't keep going on. Anyways, offensively, couldn't get the running game going at all. Hassan Reddick was pretty much a one-man wrecking crew when it came to stopping that offensive running game. But passing game was there. Tyreek Hill had a few crucial drop passes that could have made all the difference in this game. But who knows, when he makes those catches and he possibly gets a touchdown, what difference would it have made in the long run of the game? Who knows? It's just one of those things we'll never know. But gotta make those catches. I think there was like two of them that really slipped his hands. One was pretty much a scot-free touchdown, and the other was just a crucial second or third down play. But yeah, I don't think necessarily you can finger point to one thing, but all in all, the team came up short, and they were playing a really tough team, coming off a tough loss to a defense that stifled them, really just put them in positions that they didn't like. And, Dolphins got caught in a bad spot. I'm not making any excuses at all. I'm giving the Philadelphia Eagles all the credit in the world. I think they're a really good team. But, yeah, man, there's not much more else to say about that. So I was really upset with penalties, not getting off to a good start running the ball, and then last but not least, failing to stop the short plays. I know the brotherly shove, tush push, whatever you want to call it. It's a pretty unstoppable play, but other stuff that Dolphins had more control of, just wish they were able to perform just a slight bit better. Maybe the Dolphins either don't lose as bad or actually come out on top of this game. But hey, went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the NFL. It happens. But want to see more of an offensive output in these type of games, but I think both teams were getting after it pretty hard. So I liked what I saw. It was just towards the very end there. Just wasn't very happy to see. But that pretty much wraps it up. Jalen Hurts is 1-0 against Tua in the professional level after being teammates in college at Alabama, which I forgot to mention in my pregame video. Lots of Alabama players on the field, a lot of generally SEC players on the field because half of Philadelphia's defense is the Georgia Bulldogs. But yeah, I really liked what I saw from Philly. They're a really good team, and kudos to them. They improved to 6-1, 3-0 on the at home, and lead the division at 6-1. Dallas trails them 4-2, Washington 3-4, New York 2-5. And then for the Miami Dolphins, they lead the AFC East 5-2. Buffalo lost to the New England Patriots today, so they're now 4-3. New York Jets 3-3 on a bye week currently, and New England Patriots 2-5. But yeah, next week Miami Dolphins face against the New England Patriots at home. Dolphins 5-2, 2-2 away. And yeah, they played the Miami Dolphins play the New England Patriots October 29th, 1 p.m. The game will be broadcasted on CBS, and it will be played at Hard Rock Stadium. Another thing, corner injuries. Xavier Howard was out for this game. I was hoping he would play. I was personally expecting him to play, and I guess he couldn't give it a go. It's unfortunate. Do I think it makes a big difference? I think it makes a bigger difference than a lot of people might have thought, but it could also have been a completely different game, good or bad. Not saying that his presence there would have made the Dolphins, shut it down completely, but I don't think A.J. Brown makes a lot of those catches should Xavier Howard be in there, but the Dolphins gave it their best foot with what they were dealing with, and I think they did pretty well. I think they did pretty well. I think there's a lot of things that needs to be improved on and workshopped and, kind of future-proofing so things like this don't happen in the future. But aside from that, not much else to say. Tough loss, Sunday Night Football. Got a good game next week against the New England Patriots, who just gave it to the Buffalo Bills today and puts the Dolphins in a weird spot where they got to go out there and perform really well against a divisional rival, coming off a loss, coming back home. I'm really excited. It's going to be fun. But aside from that, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.